how these guys get so big so quickly. And it's not just exercise. These guys, if you are getting paid $10 million to put your face on a TV show, you will get the best trainers, the best exercises, and then performance enhancement drugs. They all take PEDs. Not to say that it's all anabolic steroids and stuff like that, but they take performance enhancement drugs. It's not sustainable once again. They do that for a career. They do that because they can afford to spend 3 hours a day in the gym, because that's actually part of their job. They're not doing it because they want to feel healthy and stuff like that. So it's easy for them. The problem with that is, I don't have a problem with that. They have to look cool in the movies. Imagine that Iron Man's a fatty, and his rocket suit doesn't want to go up. So they have to look good in these shows. We get that. The problem is that it creates this perception in a lot of people that if they can get that shredded that quickly, surely I can.
Hey everyone, welcome to the RLT podcast, where we share some real life tools, tips and tricks to help you not only discover but also reach your ultimate goals. What's up everyone, welcome back to the Real Life Tips podcast. I am your host, Mono.
I'm Lehan, welcome back everyone. So stoked to see you guys again. Marne, we've taken a bit of a break. We did our first 12 episodes. It was great fun. I think we learned a lot. We spent the last month or so analyzing our work and figuring out what we're doing wrong, getting some feedback, and we're trying to introduce those tweaks and things to our show. And hopefully, that's just to obviously make it better for you guys and make the experience better. There's a comment section on the podcast as well. So if you've got any feedback, any tips, any things you want to hear from us, leave a comment, leave a like, share it with your friends, and let's get the show bigger than it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm so stoked to be back, Lehan. I don't know about you, but it's been a while since we've been behind the microphone. We've been constantly releasing our episodes, working on our website, getting everything up and running, our Facebook page is up and running, all of that stuff. So super excited to be sharing some new content with you guys in the upcoming few episodes that we have planned. And man, do we have stuff planned for you. I think we've got a couple of very interesting episodes coming up, so stay tuned for that. And I think without further ado, let's get this session kicked off. Lehan, what are we talking about today? You had a really cool idea, so
I think in the spirit of kicking off our next 12 episodes, so if you think of most of the series and stuff like that, they come in 12s. We pretty much have content written up now and ready for recording for the next 2 years. So we spend a lot of time during this phase also just making sure that we've got a lot of stuff that you guys are going to be interested in. And being back is great, and we decided to hit this one off with a bit of a not a soft topic, maybe a bit of a relaxed topic, something hopefully that you're going to laugh about a little bit. So, Marnu, we decided to make this episode about my life decision to, look, I'm a little bit late when it comes to New Year's resolutions. I gave it a month just to see if I still feel like I want to start doing it. And I've just embarked on a 12-week fitness challenge. But you can see that I'm a sizable guy, and this is already 1 month in, so you didn't see me a month back. I think I've trimmed down a little bit already. But that's what this episode is going to be about. My journey so far, hits and misses, ups and downs, some tips, some things that worked for me completely from the perspective of a completely useless couch potato, sitting position, work life type of person that doesn't want to go and hire a personal trainer and make me regret that decision every time I see him, and make me work so hard that I don't feel like I want to go back. So I found this nice little wedge on how to kind of balance that, and we'll talk about that today.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this, Lehan, because I can't recall what episode it was that we had this chat about, but we specifically mentioned the fact that you actually realized your resting heart rate is extremely high for your age. And it's something that you've always sort of said that you want to get under control. You want to start focusing on your health. You want to start looking at fitness exercises and really start getting control of your physical health and all that. So I'm really, really excited to hear how it's going, Lehan. I think when you first told me about this, I was a little bit skeptical because someone like you, I know that we cycle together every now and then. But if I say every now and then, I mean that this is probably once every 2 months. We go out for a 2-hour cycle session, maybe 20 kilometers or maybe max 30.
It's not fitness. It's purely recreational. I mean, we have 2 to 3 beers right after the race.
Oh, yeah. And a massive burger, or you chow an entire pizza.
Because we earned it, right? We earned it.
Yeah, of course. No, most definitely. But I'm really, really excited to hear how the journey started, what made you decide to go into it. And I think I'm going to have a lot of questions, Lehan, because it's something that is, has always interested me because, I don't see myself as a fit person, but I do exercise regularly, but I've never really taken it upon myself to join a fitness program or to even try, this whole diet and fitness program combination with the HIIT training and all that stuff that I assume you're doing. So I'm really, really stoked to hear how you got started, how it's going, what your goals are. And I think I'm also, more than anything, I'm very excited to be sharing this with our listeners. We'll see the progress as we progress through the next couple of episodes as well.
No, that's great. So I'm happy to pretty much go quite personal on this one because I want to kind of give a reflection, the real reflection of what most of the guys that go into these New Year's resolutions or whatever you want to call it, what they go through. I mean, it's you kind of work your way up to this point where you know that, okay, I need to start looking at my physical, my health and things like that, and you want to make a change, but we all go through that almost like instant regret the first time that you did legs and you can't walk down the stairs out of the gym and you feel like, I don't want to go back. So we all go through this phase where you start off really, really well, and then it starts tapering off slowly but surely. So I'm hoping that today I'm probably going to relate to almost all the people that's ever been slightly overweight or unfit or unhealthy that's embarked on this fitness journey. Because I know for a fact, if you look at the figures, I mean, we're like 80% of people that don't push through, that don't actually make it through this entire class. So, I mean, the timing for me was right. Also, there's this show that we now started, something called the RLT podcast, where I can't escape the reality. I can't not do it. We've got fans now. I can't let them down, man. So no, it's all motivation. I mean, you need bucket loads of motivation. We'll go into that later because you really need. There are going to be the off days, and we'll talk about all of that. So I mean, you can start shooting those questions off. Let's see where this ends. But
I think the very first question that I've got for you, Lehan, I think. Let's start at the beginning, and then work our way through it with a couple of questions. And the very first thing that I'm most interested about knowing is why did you start? Why did you start? Or what made you take on this challenge in the first place? Question number one. Question number two, as a follow-up to that, is why now? I'm really, really interested because we've known each other for quite some time, and it's always sort of been a topic, and you've never really been interested in fitness and all that. Your wife is a fitness fanatic, so, but it's just never really grabbed you. So what made you get started, and what made you get started right now? What was the trigger for you?
Yeah, look, those are the right questions to start off with, because hopefully, again, something that I mentioned might resonate with others that are finding themselves in this seesaw of back and forth when it comes to fitness. So why I started is purely a health thing. I think it varies for all different types of exercising uptake people. One thing I can say is that you need to keep the why. Everything starts with why. We've spoken about this before. But you need to keep the why really, really realistic, right? I mean, if you look at me or you look at yourself in a mirror and you quite overweight, your immediate why at least shouldn't be that I want to look like Zac Efron from Baywatch within 12 weeks. Because it's going to be unrealistic, and it's always going to be, you'll never ever make it. I'm not, yeah, I mean, I actually think realistically, I'm not even talking, wrong there or out of turn. It's impossible to reach that in a short period of time. So you need to keep the reasons realistic. So for me, it was a combination of, I've always wanted to look better and feel healthier. I started getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and I've got kids and they require so much energy from you. And when you can't give that energy back, you feel somehow that you've lost out in life with them somehow. That's one thing that drove me, is that I can't stick to the pace of my kids. When they want to play and run around, and I've done it once or twice, I'm already heaving. I'm literally sweat all the way, sweat drip down, and I can't continue. And they can do that for like the whole day. So at least I want to improve that, and be able to enjoy them while they're young and while they think you're the best thing in the world. So that was one of the big reasons. From a health perspective, it was really about, like you mentioned earlier, my resting heart rate that's very high. So most of us wear these smartwatches these days. So on the Apple version, you now have an ECG scanner where you actually close the loop with your one hand. Doesn't really matter about the technicalities, but it gives you like a heart reading. It's scientific, but it's not like medically accurate, but it gives suggestions and stuff like that. And every time I run that thing, it will just say that, listen, everything seems okay here, but you've got a very high heart rate. And that will be during meditation, or that could even be while I'm sleeping. And this concerns me. I mean, I went and I read up the health concerns with regards to high heart rate, resting heart rate, which means my cardio heart rate is even way, way, way higher. I could be doing decent cardio for my size, just going to the bathroom and back. That's how quickly my heart rate picks up, And that's not good. I mean, we know that you need to preserve your heart. You only have one. And when that thing starts making noise or, having issues later on in life, it's difficult to repair. So there's that major, major health concern. I mean, we're not talking about, a knee replacement here or something that can be done and it's got some side effects. We're talking about your heart. So from a health perspective, that was the main reason. The overarching motivational reasons is purely because you will look a bit better as well. I mean, let's be honest, you want to look better. You mentioned my wife is into fitness, so yeah, I mean, it just looks strange walking into a restaurant and here I am with this belter on my side. I'm sure every guy out there understands what I mean. So I kind of want to at least look the part as well, so that is definitely, I would say those are the three reasons. Being able to enjoy life more, feeling healthy, playing with the kids, the health concerns that I'm starting to have, and then also just looking good again.
Yeah, I think I actually get that and I understand that, because that's sort of why why I started gymming a couple of years ago, and not really to the point where I want to get massive or ripped. And sure, I think we all want that. But it's really, really just for the health benefits. I think for energy, there's so many scientific studies being done around, your energy levels directly connected to your physical health as well. Everything about it, the better you look, the better you feel as well. One thing I do want to ask you as well is, do you feel that a big part of that was played by this whole COVID lockdown situation? Do you feel that impacted or sort of pushed you over the edge to take on an entire fitness challenge, as opposed to just going to the gym as a regular person would, or as I would, sign up with a gym membership and basically go there once, twice, try for 5 times a week, and then hope that you can sort of stick it out? Do you feel that COVID had a massive impact on pushing you over the edge? Yeah,
sure. I think in the weight gain department, it played a very, very big role. I mean, we were all stuck at home. We have Mr. Delivery and Uber Eats and all these nice little apps that can bring you your heart's desire food right to your doorstep. So you start really losing track of. That's the other thing. I mean, if you don't weigh yourself and measure yourself or whatever regularly, you don't really see how. I'm going to try and not use the word fat once in this entire podcast. Let's see how that goes. But you don't really notice the gaining of the weight until you see your mother after COVID lockdown for the first time in 6 months. And she will always have the guts to tell you, yes, but you're getting big, eh? You're getting fat. Yeah, so you'll actually return from your mom knowing that, yeah, okay, I did pick up weight, even though you don't see the, let's say, accumulation of that effect over time, because you're looking at a mirror every day. People that don't see you will definitely take notice. So the COVID thing made me very, very, very passive. I pretty much sit in this little office every day of my life. I don't go out to chat to you guys at work anymore, or climb in the car, drive somewhere, take the kids to school, pick up, do some activity. I literally park off. Yes, my work has increased, my efficiency, all those things have increased, but my health has 100% taken a back seat. And it's to the point where I can literally feel that I don't feel good. I don't feel strong. I don't feel healthy. I feel tired and fatigued all the time, and that wears you into very there's a component of anxiety and frustration that happens and occurs from that. So COVID had all these different. Look, COVID is one of the times I think we're going to look back in our lives and say that was an incredibly weird time. Like, some days it still feels like it's a dream, and it really does feel like the world has changed forever, and I think it has. But I decided after 1 year that, listen, I can't sit and mope around. I can't wait for this thing to pass. My health is deteriorating faster than it's ever done. I have to make a move. And it was really about then digging deep and finding the motivation. And then, I stumbled upon a group activity. So this all makes it more fun, is to try and get behind some sort of a program or whatever. But this is completely like a personal program. We'll get into that a little bit later. But so COVID had a huge effect on, I think, a lot of people's health. I think if we had to make this an open conversation to everyone listening right now, there's going to be so many people that say that they gained weight during COVID purely because of our passivity and sitting around.
Yeah, I think it's so difficult as well, because I thought I was going to be clever and for a little while, because I just got into my routine again with being at the gym, going to the gym. I've had my exercises. I really had my habits nailed before we got hit by COVID as well. So it was a massive transition period because, as you know, if you're in South Africa, the lockdown level, I can't even remember, I think it was level 5, obviously, which is the worst level of lockdown in the country. You couldn't even get takeaways. You could literally only buy food between certain hours of the day, and it's also bare essentials. So people freaked out and everything. Of course, gyms were closed. So yes, it did sort of help you in the sense that you didn't have access to junk food, which was really great. But then as soon as they lifted some of the restrictions, I went and I bought a ton of sweets, chips, takeaways. I went crazy. I really went ape. And I think I got to a point where I got so frustrated of not being able to go to the gym that I eventually ended up getting my hands on some gym equipment for at home. And that's all good and well, but I try to convince myself that it's good enough. If I put in an hour a day or a half an hour a day at home, it's better than doing nothing and all that. But as simple as it is to get into the swing of things, of exercising at home, just as simple, you fall out of that routine and it becomes very difficult to build that up again, because it's not driving to the gym. It's not getting to the gym and actually being there and saying, okay, well, I'm here now, might as well exercise for a straight hour or an hour and a half. So no, it definitely had a massive impact, I think, on a lot of people, like you said, on myself included as well. I can't wait to go back to the gym. I really can't. At the moment, I'm making up excuses again. You have to wear the mask, and people are lining up outside the gym and all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, I'm really, really amped on getting back in there. My next question for you, Lehan, is you spoke a lot about this. So I think we understand the why, we understand the reason you went into it and all of that. You understand the why. I think you've got a very clear goal set. And as we know, as we've spoken in our previous episodes, understanding that why is the most crucial point of taking on any sort of fitness goal or any goal for that matter. The next one I want to understand is you've mentioned a lot about this fitness challenge that you've now approached or taken on or upon yourself. Tell me a little bit more about that. I actually really want to know. I think we've spoken about it a little bit, but I don't quite understand the intensity of it. It sounds quite intense. Tell us more about that program.
I only gave you the highlights. So I do believe there's two ways of getting into this. There's the join a plan and go very aggressive, very fast way, which is what I kind of did. And then there's the ease into it way, which I decided not to do. So I decided to kind of stick it out for 3 months now, very, very hardcore, and then try and make it sustainable after that. So I'm on that verge of trying to make it so hardcore that I can burn enough fat as possible whilst still keeping it fun, which is a very, very difficult balancing act, because even today's session was really, really, really intense and tough, and just some days you don't feel like it. So the challenge that I got involved in is in South Africa, what you call the USN 12-week challenge, I believe. There's different tracks that you can take. I took the keto track, which is a ketosis track. We'll talk about that in one of our episodes and what that does and the health benefits, and why it could be the diet of choice for you or maybe not. But basically it's a very high protein type of diet with almost, I would say, basically no sugar, no starch, no carbs, those kind of things. There are carbs and stuff like that, but that only comes really from the shakes and stuff. So for the guys and the girls out there that maybe has been at my level, where you've tried so many different diets, you gymmed or exercised for a few weeks at a time at certain points in your life, this plan actually worked quite well for me, because it was a long PDF document that you receive. Once you've signed up, you have to submit your first photos, which was, probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life. I just pray that they never ever hack the USN servers and they get a hold of these starting photos, because it's not pretty, and you're not even allowed to stomach in, chest out. You have to kind of mope in this video to make it as realistic as possible. So you pretty much look like a punctured balloon on the first set of photos. But anyway, so this track, the keto track, for example, it then gives you an exercise plan, a diet plan, as well as some recipes and stuff, and substitution products. So for example, if you were used to taking peanut butter, you can now only have the nuts without the processed of the peanut butter, where there's sugar and stuff that they add. So it gives you all the different types of ingredients that you can now start introducing into your diet. Now, the reason I took the keto diet primarily is because the food choices are quite good for my lifestyle. I enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's the most important point, because I've seen some of these programs and it makes it very, very difficult for you to stick to it, because you're basically you're not allowed to eat a lot of good stuff. So yes. I think that's a very, very important point.
Yeah, I think it makes all the difference, because it's very, very easy to commit to something that includes at least some of the stuff that you enjoy, as opposed to going into these diets where they kind of want to give you very aggressive. I understand it. They want to give you aggressive results in a short period of time, but in doing that, they put you through a horrendous diet that's just not sustainable. For example, with keto, you could probably eat like this for the rest of your life and you'll probably be happy. I do miss a bit of carbs, I must say. Those are the only cravings I'm getting. The sweets and the sugary stuff, I've never really been a fan. No, I don't know how I got like this. It's from all the sitting around. But yeah, so I don't miss the sugary stuff. I really do miss the carbs and things like that and processed carbs. But the other stuff is all really good. It's meat, it's chicken, it's red meat, lamb, fatty products, cheese, eggs, nice stuff. Really, really nice stuff. I haven't gotten tired of the eating at all, to be honest. Actually, I was quite surprised of some of the stuff that's included in the diet that you would think goes against saving weight or losing weight. But it's all about the process of ketosis and how that works. But that warrants an entire show on its own.
So that's pretty much all diet side, right? And I think I do understand the thought process behind it, because I've heard this saying a lot. I think this is probably where I'm lacking in a certain department when it comes to physical exercise and all that. I really don't care during the physical exercise. It's when it comes to the diet. I think that's the most difficult issue for me as well. And look, I'm not looking to lose weight and stuff, but back when I was really into fitness and stuff, I was really trying to gain a lot of weight because I was really skinny in school. So I really wanted to put on a little bit of weight, but also, muscle mass, not really, just fat or anything like that. So for me, I do understand that a big part of it, and I've heard this saying a lot of the time, that it's 80% diet and 20% exercise or gym. So very, very interesting to know that most of your program really focuses on eating right and following the right diets and all that. But I'm also interested in actually understanding or finding out a little bit more about the training, the actual exercise that you're doing, because like we said, you're not a very active, not a very fit person. So I'm really interested in what does that program look like, the exercise program? How often, how regular do you have to exercise, and what type of exercises are included in that, and how intense does that actually get?
So yes, you're quite right. I'm not a very physical person and not a very, let's say, fit person at all. I think, especially in the last year during COVID, I think the most exercise I did is walking up to my study every day. I even made sure that I've got facilities around me that includes coffee and a food station and bathroom facilities and everything, so that I literally don't need to. I've got a chair here with 5. I upgraded my chair to have rollerblade wheels on it, so I can literally wheel myself around up here like a proper sloth. And so I'm not a physical person. I don't run. My wife always tells me I run weird. So, I went and I played tennis with her once, and she kept laughing, and I didn't even do half bad, but she couldn't stop laughing at my action of running. So yeah, it's fair to say that I don't really do a lot of that stuff. So the training that they give you in this plan, and there wasn't any choice in this because I probably would have never ever chosen this, is high intensity interval training. So HIIT training, HIIT training. And it is super intense. So the whole objective of HIIT training is to try and raise your heart rate as fast and as hard as you can for as long period as possible without making you vomit or die or get a heart attack, which I did all of the above in the first day, except die and heart attack. But it did feel like all of that, all at the same time. So it includes stuff like, and this is where we're going to probably lose some of the people, because you don't, so just a disclosure, you don't have to do this. You could probably go and find lesser workouts, but we're not talking about my experience, and I can tell you it's 30 days in, 32 days in, and it has gotten better. It still sucks, but it has gotten easier. But on the first day, they included stuff like lunges. Now, I don't know why walking is so easy and lunges, which is a form of walk, is so difficult. It's absolutely, I get stuck in every position imaginable. And I've even had my thighs just completely fail me. Mid-lunge, you'll just feel like there's nothing anymore and you just fall in front of like 20 other people that are ripped. Yeah, so it's high intensity, and then it works in intervals, so it's interval training. They very well know that if you're a fat sloth like I was, sorry, I broke the fat mentioning, but yeah, that you can't do a lot of this in a long period of time. So they do 2 minutes of four different exercise reps per 2 minutes, so it's 30 seconds on each one. Then you get 90 seconds to catch your breath, or just walk the vomit feelings off, and then you have to go into 2 minutes again. And then by the third one, so on the first day, I only got through, I think, the first 2 minutes, and then I took about an hour off and I did another 2 minutes. So it is super, super tough in the beginning. I'm at a point now where I get through all 4 sets, and in total then, 16 reps in the space of 15 minutes, and I can walk it off. I don't roll it off anymore. I can actually walk away from the exercise, but you are completely drenched, and it's super effective at burning fat at the end of the day.
So I also want to know that you're obviously, because you haven't exercised like that in the past, and now all of a sudden you're jumping in, you're not just going to the gym and sort of easing yourself into it. The program obviously doesn't just start smack bam high intensity. Well, it does high intensity training and all that, but not to a maximum level and all that. So there's obviously increasing the intensity of it on a weekly basis or so, right? So they basically do that. But first and foremost, how difficult was it the first week? Because you said that you're in now just over 30 days or something like that. So you've been at this for a little while. How tough was it when you first got started that first week versus if you had to compare it to how you feel now? Is the recovery going a lot better? Is it easier for you to actually jump into the actual exercises and all that now that you've gotten used to what to do and all that? I assume that it's getting better, or I don't know, because you've been unfit for such a long time. So is it getting any better?
Well, in short, yes, it's getting better. It's not great yet. It's still tough, but it is getting better. So yes, you're quite right. They perpetually kind of increase the intensity week past week past week. But they also have a little bit of a disclaimer at the beginning of when you should stop and when you shouldn't, like, push yourself if you don't feel comfortable and all these kind of things. So they do make mention. Obviously, the first week, I can't explain the pain, and it's just, you're so sore everywhere because it's high intensity and it's all this jumping jack type of very fast, aggressive exercising. You are very sore everywhere, and you discover muscles that no one ever knew existed, except for the guys that are actually fit, probably know about them. You start really missing basic things in life, like being able to get in and out of a car, being able to wipe your bum, being able to raise a fork to your mouth so that you can eat. And you miss those things so badly. And it also, the first week, the funny thing is the recovery, because I was so unfit and because of the intensity of the workout. Like, I remember when I previously got into working out, even though it lasted only 2 months maybe at a time, I would start slow and just take my time and not be that sore. This was like bone crushingly sore. I could not, the last exercise on the first week, so it was 5 days in a row worth of exercising for an hour. We did some leg stuff, mostly leg intensity stuff. That entire week, and I know why they did it on a Friday, because it gave you the whole weekend to recover a little bit from the leg exercises. I could not come up to my study that entire weekend, and walking down from the stairs were actually worse than going up. So it was sore, and this is something that I think hopefully most people would expect is going to happen, and it's something that you should not get too scared of. It's not the type of pain that's going to be constant, like a toothache or an earache. When you're sitting still, it does subside and you can live through it. It's just when you get back into the activity that it feels a bit bad. My wife gave me one tip of advice for this, and she told me, first of all, swallow your tears, man up. And secondly, just get back in the gym. It will feel better once the muscles release again, once all the acidity in your muscles go back into your bloodstream. And that was extremely helpful. And this was actually one of the good motivators to go back to gym. Is it actually does help with the muscle fatigue and the pain of the muscles. There's also supplements that the people can take. So you can go speak to your pharmacists or whatever. And there are some recovery supplements that you can take. So there are some stuff that I'm taking as well that helps with recovery. It hurt. It hurt, but it got better. It did get better. You get stronger over time. I've only been at it now for, let's call it 4 weeks. It's complicated to remember the exact days. And I already feel much stronger and I am recovering much faster. I hope that answers the question. That's as vividly as I can explain it.
No, absolutely it does. Okay, so you've mentioned a lot of bad stuff though in the beginning of that. So I think that this episode, if anything, will basically tell any of our listeners to never ever try a challenge like this again.
Yeah, so if you never ever want to get skinny, you listen to us tonight.
Exactly, yeah, because Lehan likes to complain about how tough this challenge has been. I've spoken to him a couple of times on it, and I know that it's been tough on you. I can just imagine. I don't even have the dedication to do something like that, and I'm much younger, and if you want to put leaner, yeah, I'm much leaner. We're not going to use that word. Great, so what I want to ask Lehan is it worth it? Is it worth it? Do you really feel that you'll be able to stick it out? You said that you're 4 weeks into this now. You're going on a 12-week challenge, so there's still a few more weeks left for you on this. Do you feel that you're strong enough to push through? And would you recommend anyone else sitting in a position that you're sitting in? I think you're in your mid-30s. You've just woken up and realized, oh, okay, wait, I need to really start focusing on my health before it's too late. So, and you really, I think it's surprising and really, really impressive that someone at, not your age, but at sort of where you were at that mental space of saying, I don't care about exercise. I'm never going to exercise. I'm just not a fit person. It's just not who I am. To switch your mindset, completely 180 degrees and say that I'm going to go the other direction. I'm actually not just going to join a gym, but I'm going to sign up for a program. Is it really worth it? Do you feel that you're going to achieve it? You're going to push through? And then I've got one last question that I'll follow that up with as well.
Sure. Okay, so again, short answer, I believe 100% it's worth it. I'll explain why. So the thing is, when you start... I would say let's go to the normal honeymoon type of idea of doing a New Year's resolution. Then people join a gym, they get back into the gym, they start with 5 days a week, then they go 3 days a week, then they start saying, all right, I'm feeling a bit sore, they start making excuses. For me, it was about the why. The why needs to be huge. It needs to be everything. The why is the one thing that gets you there on the days that you don't want to go. And that's what I spoke about in the beginning, is all the 3 different motivations that was key for me. It's just to look better, feel better, and, just get in better shape and feel healthier and start looking after my health. That is what gets you back in gym, all right? When it comes to, is it worth it? If we're talking purely about results, and this is, again, I'm the type of person, if I just go and do this on my own and I'm not that intentional about it, I will probably fail. I need a guide. I need the little book that says, go buy these supplements. Not that I bought all of them, but there's some of the key stuff that I decided to go and get, because it can get really expensive really quickly as well. And I think the results are negligible after a certain point. And then there's a plan. There's a daily plan. You've got your, another tip that I can give that makes it fun is get yourself nice gear. Go get yourself a nice pair of training, exercising shorts and shoes or sneakers or whatever. Get yourself a smart watch. The things are getting very cheap. You can get off-brand ones now for like, $5 or $6 that's going to track your steps. It's going to track your heart rate. And all of these things are just interesting and fun to keep track of. And it's little goals that you can set for yourself. So as far as motivation, you have to find a way to self-motivate during this process. And motivation is going to be different for different people. For example, my wife gets motivated by weight loss, physical weight loss. I get motivated by measurement loss. So I basically like to see the measurement changing. So another thing is that I did deviate from the exercise plan a little bit. I'm combining it with a bit of weight training at the same time. Which is, just making life tougher on me. But it also means that because I've got a longer vision for this, we'll talk about that just now. But so I'm also gaining muscle weight while reducing fat. So it means that, yes, in the first week I dropped, in kilograms, I dropped 5 kilograms in the first week. But I mean, it made sense. I felt like hell. I would have been very, very angry if it was less than that. But you lose very aggressively in the beginning. Then it starts tapering off a little bit. And then your body goes into self-preservation mode. It says, whoa, I don't want to burn all this fat. This fat's going to keep me alive. And, your brain needs to start training itself into, no, this is actually normal now. This is how it's going to be from now on. And then you start at the same time also gaining muscle mass because you're doing some weight and resistance training at the same time. So motivation is key. You need to find what works for you. For me, it was the more physical stuff that I can see, noticing that a shirt that was tight now fits better, noticing that the belt buckle or the belt loop you've gone into one notch smaller. Physical measurements that you have to do during these kind of programs, there you can track it really well. So it's not really that much about the weight loss for me necessarily. I don't really care about that number right now. But as far as that's concerned, the motivation part is the key thing that you need to figure out in order to go back and return every single day. I'm not saying you have to go super aggressive. The plan kind of tells you to do 5 days a week, but you need to also kind of stick to what's going to be comfortable for you. Again, it's all about creating something that's sustainable. And as much as this is a program with a short-term goal, there is many, many long-term goals for me particularly. So these short-term goals is uncomfortable. I'm hating it, but I'm also loving it. The results are showing that I'm working my ass off, my donkey off. But after this, I'll start relaxing a bit, and I'll do a little bit less of the bad exercises and do more of the fun exercises, and maybe replacing jogging on a treadmill with going out on a mountain bike ride instead, and just start making it a lifestyle instead of just a short-term, high-intensity goal that you can never, ever, ever, ever continue doing for the rest of your life.
Yeah, no, so you actually touched on something there that I'm very, very interested in as well that we'll explore in just a second, but absolutely that was going to be my follow-up question is, this is a great program. It sounds like a great program. You've been pushing yourself really hard. You've seen some results already, but how are you going to keep that and make that sustainable after the 12-week challenge completes? Because I think a lot of people struggle with that because, you push yourself, you might actually accomplish that goal of pushing through the 12 weeks and reach your end goal after that. But then the first thing that I would do is I would reward myself and I would say, okay, let's go binge drinking, or let's 100%. Take a weekend and just order takeaways and not really care about that, and then we'll get back on track next week, and then maybe you fall off the wagon 100%. For a week and then you come back the week after that. So I'm really, really glad that you're talking about the sustainability after it, your plan of action to make it more sustainable, to not really you push yourself into burnout on a permanent basis, and being realistic about that. So I love that, absolutely. The thing that you touched on that I want to explore real quick before we wrap up the show or the session for today is you mentioned your why in that goal setting and in that process of taking on this whole fitness challenge and finding a way to motivate yourself on an ongoing basis. And I feel that that's very, very important because it's funny because in a business book that I read, I think we both read it at some point, The Lean Startup, they also talk about goal setting in business, but they talk about vanity metrics. Now, vanity metrics is something that people think that they should be focused on, and they focus on the complete wrong data. They're focusing on the complete wrong data. They're not really focusing on the data that makes sense, that drives the business towards its goal. And I feel that that is very, very applicable in this situation as well. Is that if you join a fitness program and say that, yeah, one of my goals is to lose weight and to become more lean. Yeah, absolutely. But that's not your core goal. Your core why behind this whole thing is so that you just feel better. You feel that you're number one, you're more healthy. You're eating healthier. You're exercising more. You can spend more time with your kids and play games with them without tiring yourself out entirely. That's pretty much your core metric that you want to measure the whole time. So getting caught up in, how much weight have I lost today, and jumping on a scale each and every single day, writing down the weight amounts and all that, I think that's going to get frustrating at some point. Absolutely. Yeah. I feel that's where a lot of people
some days.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's when you stop as well. Like you said, in the beginning, you lose a lot of weight. I think for me, it was always about gaining weight. So you gain weight up until a point and you just hit the ceiling. And it's so tough to break through that. You can't go further. And I feel that with weight loss as well, you hit that bottom where you can't really break through it. And you need to have a very, very strong underlying why, number one. If we're getting to the point of the show here where we're giving tips, you've already given some tips. So to summarize that is to, number one, understand the why, really, really understand what is the reason, the core reason. It's not just to look better. It's why do you want to look better? Is it because you feel that you lack confidence because you don't feel good about yourself, because you feel you don't look good? So if that's one of the reasons, then absolutely, then you're tapping into the underlying why as opposed to just looking at the end goal in itself. So it's understand your why. For you, it wasn't just to look better. It's not just to feel better, but it's to be more healthy, to spend better time with your kids. And of course, one of the other benefits of that would be to look better or to lose some weight.
Yeah, that actually follows.
Feel leaner.
It follows by itself. It's almost like it's a product of combining healthy diet and a healthy exercise regime. Is the side effect of that is the looking better. That should actually not be the core focus, because that is the hardest part to achieve, is the physical transformation. It's not that difficult getting behind a diet and exploring it and getting used to it and looking at the ingredients and starting to do some cooking and figuring out cool recipes. That becomes quite a lot of fun. It's also very quick that you start feeling better and you can start playing with your kids for longer periods of time. Your health starts recuperating very, very fast. The actual physical appearance and that takes a longer time. And I think that's the disappointing thing for a lot of people, is they expect this to be very, very quick if they go very aggressive. And you need to be realistic about that. I think realism is a very, very, very important underdog statement, is that you cannot transform from obesity to shredded in 12 weeks. That will take 5 years. You know what I mean? And I think so many people go in with the wrong expectations that they are going to be able to achieve that. I actually watched a video, and sorry I hijacked your session just now. I watched a video today that talks about all the big boys of Hollywood. So, the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the guy that plays Thor, how these guys get so big so quickly. And it's not just exercise. These guys, if you are getting paid $10 million to put your face on a TV show, you will get the best trainers, the best exercises, and then performance enhancement drugs. They all take PEDs. Not to say that it's all anabolic steroids and stuff like that, but they take performance enhancement drugs. It's not sustainable once again. They do that for a career. They do that because they can afford to spend 3 hours a day in the gym, because that's actually part of their job. They're not doing it because they want to feel healthy and stuff like that. So it's easy for them. The problem with that is, I don't have a problem with that. They have to look cool in the movies. Imagine that Iron Man's a fatty, and his rocket suit doesn't want to go up. So they have to look good in these shows. We get that. The problem is that it creates this perception in a lot of people that if they can get that shredded that quickly, surely I can. If I join this exercise program like now with USN, I buy the couple of $1,000 worth of supplements. I go get myself vomit-worthy exercise every morning of every day. I stick to the diet. Then I can look like Zac Efron on Baywatch. And you need to get those expectations in check. It's not going to be the case. And I think this is also a huge elephant in the room and why a lot of people jump out too quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's number one, understanding your why, your underlying why. Number two, manage your expectations. Really manage your expectations surrounding it. Set realistic goals for yourself. Number three that I wanted to touch on as well is regarding this, the motivation, and on the topic of vanity metrics is, again, just to recap, make sure that you're measuring the real metric that you want to achieve, that drives you towards that goal. Exactly. Don't say I'm going into this to lose weight. If that's why you're doing it, then absolutely, don't get too caught up on it, but really focus on that why. And link those two together. Understand that if you're going to compare yourself to Zac Efron every single day, you're going to look in the mirror, you're going to be like, well, I don't look anything close to it, and I've been pushing for the last 6 months, then absolutely, it's gonna throw you off.
I wanna say something very cliche. I've always wanted to use this line. If I can do it, anyone can.
That's actually very true.
Literally the case. It's extremely true. I mean, if I could get off my lazy ass, and I'm not lazy when it comes to work and stuff like that. I'm super lazy at being healthy and sticking to diets and eating well and not indulging, and you know what I mean. So if I can do it, I'm pretty sure everyone can. And I've tried enough programs to know that none of them really work. At the end of the day, it's flippin'. It's actually very obvious. You need to have a good diet. You need to have a very good exercise regime. You need to have the motivation to do it, and then you just need to basically show up every single time and find a way that's going to keep that motivation flying high so that you don't actually fall back. The thing about this is also when you start tripping, you start falling, and you start losing out on 1 day here, 2 days there, a whole week there. And this is death to these exercise programs. You get back after only 1 week of missing exercise, you'll feel like you're back to square one. I've heard this from people that's been gymming for longer than me, and I've even seen it in my previous times of gymming as well. So there's a few things, hopefully some tips that you just need to get in check. Once you've got those things right, I think it's going to be sustainable. Look, I mean, hopefully this episode won't air before I quit this whole thing. So then we can pull this episode. I'm kidding. I'll push through.
That brings me to my closing comment here is, I think with a lot of life goals that you set for yourself, you need to create some form of accountability. And it's very difficult, I think, in a lot of, when you start your own business and you don't do it with a partner, you yourself hold yourself accountable to get to the task, to perform the task, to stick it out, to go through the tough times, and that makes it very difficult. So that's why, as with a business partnership, it really makes it a lot easier because you've got an accountability partner or someone that holds you accountable to pitch up to the meetings, to push through the tough times and all of that. I think the same goes for any goal that you set in life. If you have someone holding you accountable for that, then absolutely the chances of you achieving the goal at the end of the day will become that much easier, and exactly in the fitness sense as well. So you're sharing your story now with all of our listeners, Lehan, and this is a commitment. So you're in it, you've been in it for quite some time, but this is going to be your accountability partner. We're going to be here. I think it's going to definitely motivate you to push through to the end, right? If just at least for our listeners.
So this was not by chance. This is actually purposefully putting another little metric in place that's going to make me get there. I can't disappoint our 6 fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Your mom and my mom.
Your mom, my mom, and a couple of relatives. So I have to make them proud. No, so no,
Absolutely.
you're quite right. I mean, I'm motivated this time around. I've got the right whys, and it's been easier since I think that was the one thing that never checked for me. And also, yeah, the reasons why wanted to gym to just get big, yeah, that's super tough. I think that's tougher than trying to lose weight when you are overweight. So, yeah, the motivations were wrong. Now that they're in line, I don't want to say it's the simplest, let's say, body transformation, whatever thing you want to call it, that I've been on. But it hasn't been as hard as previous ones. Just because, yeah, you've got your kids aspect, your health that's not looking good. I mean, yeah, those are serious things that I want to get right. And then, yes, a side effect that will inevitably happen is I'll also look better. But that's really not the core focus this time around. Like I said on previous shows, I've got my wife, I've got the kids, I've done those things. I don't need to look good. But it is a very nice plus if you could.
I'm so amped and stoked on seeing the difference, seeing the progress that you're going to make. And Lehan, I think that it's great that you're sharing this story and your journey with all of our listeners. If you're sitting and listening to this and you are not sure if it's even worth turning your fitness goals around, or actually looking and setting fitness goals in your physical health column of your one of the spokes of life that you've set for yourself, then yeah, absolutely, I think, Lehan, that will most definitely resonate. So with that being said, I think that is all we have time for in this episode. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in, and I'm very excited to be back here with you guys and to record some more content. That is all from myself, Mono.
My name is Lehan. Thank you very much for joining us again this week. It's really good to be back in the studio and recording. Lots of good stuff coming in our upcoming episodes. Have a wonderful week. We'll catch you next time.
Cheers. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining this episode. We really hope that it inspires and motivates you. By the way, we're giving away a free 5-step personal budget template that will help you take control of your financial goals. So just head over to rltstudios.com, sign up for our newsletter, and we will get that right over to you. So head over to rltstudios.com and we will see you in the next episode. Until then, cheers.